I really like WeirdCon. Although it's kind of weird, but I do really like it. I wish there were more people that came to WeirdCon, and I think that it attracts a hardcore LARP community who love the opportunity to play and actually R&D and road test some of their ideas and stories. But I really wish as well there could be a way to attract people who like to play. I think the LARP title defines it in a way too tightly, because I see a lot of playfulness here at WeirdCon, that because it's framed around LARP, I feel it excludes a lot of people. And I think that if it would be fun to bring a non-LARPing community to WeirdCon, to understand, they don't need to understand, to appreciate the fundamentals of play, and also then to see the very swift and deep engagement that happens when the guys here at WeirdCon are in costume and they're playing a game. It stuns me every time I'm here, that how quickly it is. I've walked through the corridors and I see people talking and they're going, okay, now we're doing this, you're this and you're that, and they explain the characters and what their motivations are and what the end result of the chapter, if you want to call it that, or the episode would be. And I watch their faces and they're seriously getting into role, and they might play out for a couple of hours and they all get to a resolution at the end. But I think because the costumes are so stunning and so detailed, and it's such almost like a huge craft industry around the costumes, I think it marginalises WeirdCon to people that maybe don't have the time, the ability or the awareness of how to build those costumes. I think a dressing up box could work just as well. And I was actually saying to somebody earlier to have 1 hour blocks of playfulness where there's a short story created where you get some people together and say, look, this is going to take an hour out of your time. It will be fun, you will work as a team, you won't be expected to do anything that you're not comfortable with. So you'd have like levels of characters, so you're always going to have like the activists and the people that want to be the leader and the voice. You're always going to have people that actually might want to disrupt what's going on, and you'll always have the people that like to help it along but don't actually want to be seen. So if we could create hour blocks of things like that, where people say, okay, I'll do this for an hour. There's a story structured that within the first 10 minutes, or not even that, 5 minutes of briefing, the story goes wrong, and they need to work together for the next 55 minutes to resolve the story. And if there's a dressing up box and props in the room, I think you'd find quite quickly people would go, do you know what, it's an hour, let's do it. I'll wear the mask, I'll put this banana outfit on, and you know, they'd get into role and do it. And I would really, I love WeirdCon, but I still would love to see what I see here expanded beyond the people who are already adopted into the notion of LARP. Okay, I think that the notion of transmedia for me is kind of quite a simple word that actually does a disservice in a way to the scope of what you can do with story. And I think it has to be story driven, and it has to be about the canon and not the platforms. I think that the live element of LARPing is something that very quickly brings communities together and they walk away with an amazing experience. And there's that quote, and I don't know if it's Maya Angelou or somebody who said, people won't remember what you said, people won't remember what you wore, but people always remember how you made them feel. And I think the live event LARP component, like what happens here, should be part of a more robust, diverse strategy, like a tapestry of story. So for me, what I see here happening is almost like the ultimate fan moment, where people can be engaged in a story but then be part of that story. Theme parks do that really well. When you're in a theme park, you can never see outside of the theme park. You're completely immersed. And theme parks really are the only place where you are in the story. I mean, you're kind of not, but you are as much as you can be, right? So you could read it, you could watch it on a computer or go to a cinema and watch a movie. You can buy the toy of the character from your favourite Disney, for example, or movie. But when you're in the theme park, you're in their world. You're in the heart of the story. And I think that what LARPing does is that, but it does it in a more personalised way, because people actually are in characters that are part of the story. So I'd like to see the communities that we've learned to form online, which I think that's what social media has taught us how to do. I think we're at a point where now people would like to springboard the community out into the real world, and to do it around an event that means they dress up in character and it's the big finale of something. For me, it's a very key component of a transmedia story. So I'd love to see, that's why I'd like it to work better commercially, because I think the value proposition is huge. I was really impressed with what I saw last year. And I have said this, I know, on video last year, but when I came, I couldn't see beyond the costume. It was like a load of like adults dressed up as fancy dress, and I didn't get it. And then I started to watch. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is great. Now I know I'm very mischievous, right? So if I was in character, there was one guy last year and he was slayed by this knight and he laid on the floor like playing dead, and the other guys ran off. And I was up on the balcony and I was looking down at him and I was thinking, if that was me, like, I don't know what to do. Do I get up and just go? Like, am I done? Am I dead? Or like, do you come back and rescue me? And you know, it's things like that I wouldn't know. And I would find great fun in disrupting it a bit, which I know is bad. But I would, but only in a playful way. Only in a playful way. And I stood watching this guy, and he obviously knew the story because somebody came back for him and helped him up, and it was part of the story. But I was really impressed with what I saw last year, and I suddenly had that moment where it's not about the costume, it's about the people playing as deep into a story as they can because they're one of the characters. That's powerful stuff. You don't see that anywhere else. Kids on a console game, you know, they think they're in the story, but they're not, you know, and I just think that as hard as storytellers try to really immerse people into the story, you cannot be letting them be a character as part of that story. And there's attempts to do that through interactive video and things like that, but you still can't beat the live experience. That's what I think. I would come back because I'm interested in helping to kind of evolve that very thing that I've just been talking about. And I don't get to talk to the LARPers really when I'm here because they're so busy doing what they're doing, but I'd really like to sit down. There's a lot to be learned from them, definitely. I spoke to Christian Brown last year quite a lot with the Starship Valkyrie that he has, and the way that he's managed to structure that. And there's a nice play-off between authorship and ownership, whereas there is a core author. Some people call it a puppet master. I don't like that so much. It sounds like you're manipulating people, although I suppose you kind of are. But I like the play-off between the authorship of the creator, but then the ownership of the people that are playing it. And I think if you can get that balance nice and right, there's a nice synergy that works between the author and then the players as owners. And I just think there's huge lessons to be learned right there with that. So last year I didn't get the chance to speak to the LARPers, but I really want to do that this year because there's a lot to learn. However, I feel they just do it. I think we're here with our theories and everything, and they're just getting on with it and doing it. But because I'm curious, I want to dig into that and ask them some more. So I would like to come back next year simply for that reason, that I like to, there's something good here, and I'd like to push it up into the levels of commercial a little bit more, because I think there's a lot of value in that adoption and that immersion of being a character.